Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to our workshop about applying an asset-based community development approach to bereavement peer support. We are recording today for anyone that can't make it today and wants to watch it back afterwards, or if you have colleagues or friends who you think would find today useful, then we'll be sending you the recording afterwards. So feel free to share it far and wide. My name's Claire. I work for Bristol Aging Better. And as you probably know by now, this workshop is one of many in the Festival of Co-Production, with all different types of co-production learning being shared. And after the festival, it will be followed by a toolkit. So everything that we say today, the information about this group and this approach is also available in the toolkit once that's launched as well. So I guess just a bit of housekeeping. It's great to see so many people with their videos on. That's always really lovely as a presenter, that you're not just talking into the ether. But because we are recording, if anyone doesn't want their video shown on the recording, then feel free to just turn off your camera, do whatever you are comfortable with, really. We are going to have a question and answer session at the end of today's workshop. So if you can, if it is available to you, please write your questions in the chat. That's just the best way for us to keep track of it. And you don't need to hold on to your question the whole time. You can write it in the chat whenever you think of it, but then we'll come to them all at the end. So without further ado, I am happy to welcome Jan to the virtual stage. Jan is a community development worker who was working in one of the projects funded by Bristol Aging Better, and is now a freelance trainer and a coordinator of an ever-growing network of STAR bereavement peer support groups. So over to you, Jan.
Thank you. So first of all, what is a community? So when I'm embarking on any, trying to set up any initiative in the community to benefit the people in the community, in the neighbourhood, it is important to think about what is our community and what it consists of. So that's something, the question I put out to people when I'm out and about in the community. What does our community look like? What does it consist of? In the community that I was working in, so as Claire said, I was funded by Bristol Aging Better. I was employed by St Monica Trust at the time, but I was also a resident that lived in the community that I was working in. And so really important to linking up, finding out what exists in the community and mapping those assets that exist within the community. So in terms of applying the asset-based community development approach, linking up and connecting with people in the community and to receive support in helping to develop an initiative in the community and look at sustainability of that new project that I was trying to put together in the community. So in terms of asset-based community development approach, we're looking at the institutions that exist within the community, the associations that exist within the community, and the individuals that exist within the community. And with every group that I'm trying to support that want to set up something in the community, is getting people to look at things differently, look at things that, with like the glass is half full. What fantastic assets exist? What gifts do people have in our community that they can support in what we're trying to achieve? I'll just zoom in here. So if we look at the institutions in the Stockwood community where I live and where I was working at the time, we have institutions such as the shops, the co-op, we have funeral directors, we have sheltered housing. So there's 6 sheltered housing establishments in Stockwood. We have a fantastic children's centre, Mario's Cafe, social centres, a fantastic library, 2 pubs, social club, BS14 club, 3 parks, 3 schools, a nursery, a scout hut, dentists, opticians, barbers, hairdressers, a sports club, 3 allotments, football club, charity shop, medical centre, the list goes on. When we look at those institutions, what gifts do they have to give? So we start looking at things like staff time, approaching people to see if they've got time to support our initiative, resources, gifts in kind that we can be approaching these institutions to help us set up our new initiative, the services that they provide, the contacts that they make in the community, the people they reach, how they can help us market what we're trying to achieve in our community, and how they can engage with us. So an example of where I've mapped in the community those institutions, I've approached the local children's centre. They're fantastic. They're marketing on social media for us, for our bereavement group that we've set up. They are able to give us access to administration resources, stationery, photocopying, printing, their time and commitment to help us because they value what we're doing. The funeral directors, for instance, they're happy to display material that we've produced and give that out to people in the community. The medical centre, for instance, they've put all of the information about our lovely group up onto the big screen when we were allowed to wait in medical centres waiting rooms. It would come up on the screen. They would give all the staff information to hand out to those people they're making in contact with. And the list goes on. We are looking at not applying for funding, but gifts in kind and support from those institutions within our community. The next circle we see here is about associations. So in your community, you will inevitably have groups that have formed to do different things in the community that you can approach. And again, they've got lots of gifts that they can support with any new initiative. We have a group called Newbies that meet in the library. For anybody that moves to the area can access information about what's going on. Positivity, having tea in the library, positive story sharing and things like that. We've got a repair cafe, a lunch club, a youth club, Horizons and a pop-in club that's been going for 30 odd years, where people come and socialise. Walking groups, Tai Chi, the Star Bereavement Peer Support Group is an association. Quiz groups, yoga, dance, Skittles, a movie club. Stockwood Growing Together as a community garden project. Painting, Happy Notes Choir, indoor bowling, a gospel choir, and a couple of art groups. So these we see as associations, groups that have come together. They've established a cohort of people that have the same interests, that want to be together. And again, we look at what gifts do they have to give. Well, they're part of a network because we're connecting with each other. Again, they work in partnership with each other because they're able to market. They've got so much experience and skills between them. And the more connected they are, the more we can be helping each other to develop our passion and whatever we're doing in our community. And then we look at individuals. So everyone has something to give. Not everyone's happy to share those things, but what things that people are happy to share is a fantastic asset within our community. Unless we talk to people, we make those connections in our community, we don't know what's out there. So we don't know, how can we know what we want unless we already know what we have in our community? So we've got retired people, older people, younger people, middle-aged, stay-at-home parents, church congregations, local workers, etc., who equally all have skills, some time, they know the neighbourhood, they've got lots of knowledge about the community as well, if they're involved in the associations and things that happen in their community. So this is sort of painting a picture really of what the community looks like. It's something you can't do overnight. The more people you connect with, the more people can bring information, so that you eventually have a visual sort of representation of what your community assets are. There is, in every local authority, you can go on and Google the joint strategic needs assessment, which you can download from your local authority website, to the demographics of every community, but it doesn't tell you all the assets, the fantastic assets that exist within your community. So it's a positive spin on what we're looking at here when we're looking at asset-based community development, looking at people's personal qualities, knowledge, skills, relationships, interests and passions, time and commitment. On the side of here, we've got a plus sign which says on the edge. So we're looking at the wider community and other support that we need to be thinking about as well. And I'll talk about a bit more about that in a moment. So asset-based community development approach is built on 4 foundations. It focuses on community assets, strengths rather than problems and needs. It identifies and mobilizes individuals and community assets, skills and passions. It's community driven, building communities from the inside out, and it's relationship driven. So people working together with a shared goal and common purpose can make the impossible possible. So here's just making things happen within our community without the constraints of governing rules. So we've got these people in our community, we can see them like Batman and Robin getting out there, doing really good for the community. The community is a spontaneous place. Let's make things happen. And then all of a sudden, bang, we go into the systems that people often say, nope, you have to do it this way, have to do it that way. And they're not good. So sometimes a simple good thing can be ruined by things like funding, for instance. So here's the funding, and by the way, here's the rules. So, oh no, our fun idea has been turned into a program. So all those fantastic things that people come towards to make happen in their community, suddenly, if you're looking at funding, you're almost looking at this is not going to be a sustainable, because somebody has to continue applying for funding because funding eventually will run out. So yeah, and our role when we're trying to initiate new things in our community, I think I see myself as the butler really. So I'm doing the sort of behind the scenes, enabling, empowering people to come together so that when I step away from my role, that wonderful creation of bringing people together to develop a community, it continues. Everyone takes ownership of it, and there's a good foundation that's built between those people. So reflecting what I was talking about, the mapping community assets and building this model of what exists in the community. So this is our community of Stockwood here, and we've established lots of things that are going on in the community. So on the edge of this, looking at the assets on the wider community, we have we've got a map of all of the other connections that not, but when I've established a group that they've got the common purpose of developing a particular project in their community, is getting us to look outside the box on the edge and approaching organisations that can also support what we're trying to achieve. So we link up with people. The top of the list for me is Age UK Bristol Aging Better, that absolutely recognise what we're trying to achieve in our community to connect with people and reduce social isolation and loneliness in our community. And through connection with Bristol Aging Better, Age UK Bristol, who has a fantastic network across Bristol, Bath, North Somerset and South Gloucestershire, as well connected people to spread information out and get information out far and wide. And that doesn't cost our lovely little group in Stockwood, it doesn't cost us a penny, but the asset for us is having that fantastic connection on the edge. There's organisations such as St Peter's Hospice we've made contact with, Macmillan Cancer Nurses, Community Asset Support Service, which is about mental health within Bristol, Cruise that gives bereavement support, not just in Bristol but across the UK, St Monica Trust. We've had interest from the University of West of England, the Bristol University, doing lots of research on organisations trying to get out into the community and offer peer support. Bristol City Council, for instance, is a fantastic asset to us because they've got community development practitioners that really value what we're trying to achieve and support us in many, many ways. Well aware as a database through the care forum that we've put our information on as well, and that can spread out into across Bristol. So we come up with another picture of all these fantastic that exist within our community and on the edge, and what the connections we make in the wider community on the edge are things such as signposting, people making referrals to our Star Bereavement Peer Support Group. The more people that know about it, the more people are able to signpost people to our service that we're created in our community. Spreading the word within the public health sector has been amazing. I'm getting more and more people asking questions that are interested in doing something very similar in their community. And it gives recognition with health professionals of the value to the NHS and public health, what we're trying to achieve in our community. Helping with research, as I say, the Bristol University and University West of England have been asking us to if we can help with research they're doing, which will be fed back into the clinical commissioning group and beyond. Free marketing, I mean, that costs lots of money. We don't have any money, so all the marketing we can get, the good, fantastic marketing, by tapping into other organisations is a great asset. Networking and encouraging like-minded community development workers to explore the STAR model and setting up their own group. That's been able to happen because those connections that we've made on the edge and within the wider community. I mean, at that point, I think I'll just sort of touch on this model that I'm going to be talking about in a moment. The peer support model has been 25 people last year across Bristol did the training with me. I cascaded the information, and from that we've got 5 STAR bereavement peer support groups that have been set up across Bristol, and we've got 17 people at the moment in Bristol, North Somerset and South Gloucestershire are just finished doing the training as well, and we're running it again another time in July. We're running it again, and we're running it again in October. So eventually we would love to see across Bristol, North Somerset and South Gloucestershire and beyond following this model to create a sustainable peer support project. So this is the timeline of using the asset-based community development approach. So this using that approach will enable any group to build a solid foundation and establish a self-governing and sustainable community association in their community. Yeah. So the timeline of the Stockwood STAR is in April 2019. I sent out a plea using an application called Nextdoor. So I don't know if you're all familiar with this application. It's social media going through is free. It's nothing like Facebook at all, but you're able to sign up to it, and it's international. You put your postcode in, and you can see who is on this application, who's registered on Nextdoor. You can look at a map. You can see which houses have got Wi-Fi and they're connected on Nextdoor. And once you're on there, you can post and share information about different things that are going on in your community. So I used this application, and as an individual living in the Stockwood community, I wrote a plea to find out if there was anybody else in the community that wanted to help me set up a bereavement peer support group. I sort of gave an idea of the type of people that I was looking for, because you obviously need to be a good listener. You have to have empathy. If you have gone through any bereavement, and you're wanting to care and support other people that are going through difficult times in their life through a loss of a loved one, please come forward and let me know. And I was absolutely amazed. Within 24 hours, I had 6 people respond. Over the next couple of months, I went out into the community, and I was walking around and talking to different people, and I approached different people in some of the associations that exist in the community, and I asked people if they were interested in helping me to set up this bereavement peer support group. And I got a total of 13 people. Over a period of time, made it very transparent that it will take time and commitment. Once we've got established those foundations, we will then be able to promote what we've developed, and we will open the doors to the community. And over the few months, we established then there was 8 out of those 13 people that were able to give their time and commitment, and not everyone was able to give the time and commitment to actually set it up, which is great to know, because we know then we've got a committed core team. So in May 2019, we secured a venue. So again, a great asset in our community. We've got 2 churches. One of the churches said, you can use our community room on the side of the building free of charge. We won't, because we value what you're doing. They gave us a key to the building. They said, help yourself to anything you want. You can use the kitchen, all the resources we have here, help yourself. And so we then began in June 2019, started to plan with our team. And I'll share with you in a moment what things we covered. So from June to October, we covered lots of different things. And eventually, when our team felt 100% confident, we chose a date to open the doors and to the people in our community to offer this service. So it's done by the people in the community for the people in the community. And none of us are volunteering for anybody. We actually established this group, the group dynamics. It means that obviously every time a Star Bereavement peer support group is set up, wherever it is in our other communities, they will be very different, but the core sort of principles are embedded in that group. During the planning and setting up stage, we looked at things such as what will the session look like. We didn't have a name at that time either, and that was one of the things I asked everyone within our team to go away and think about of a name that people will remember. And somebody came back with STAR, so Share, Talk and Remember, and we thought that was absolutely fantastic name. So within the group, we have somebody that likes to play around with making up logos and things like that, and doing the marketing and publicity material. So that's what was created then. STAR logo, Stockwood Star, and some material about what we were trying to achieve. We talked about what the sessions will look like, and that was looking at things like the material things we needed, the resources we felt we needed. It is a wish list. We had a room, obviously. We wanted to look at making it a very comfortable and welcoming space. We wanted to look at being able to display literature from other organisations that can offer support alongside what we were supporting people with. We wanted to have internet access, so we could use a laptop, for instance, and show videos and different clips of interest within our group. We needed to have the obvious things, you know, as tea and coffee making facilities and things like that, a warm space with lots of information that people can take away. We also looked at what the sessions would look like in terms of the structure. We did lots of role play and how we felt that we could manage a 2-hour session. So we created a structure of a beginning, a middle and an end, what that would look like, what would we be saying to people in the beginning, and encouraging people to talk in the group, and how would we end the session where people take something away and reflect on what we've been talking in the group. We looked at roles and responsibilities, and we came up with some basic roles and responsibilities. However, we all tend to chip in and cover each other. We all know what needs to be done. We've gone through things and looked at, you know, having somebody welcoming at the door, somebody helped to do the marketing, just going out and talking to people. We offer people a one-to-one appointment where we just sit down and have a cup of tea with them and tell them all about it before they actually come along to our group. So they're not got any, you know, they're not anxious about coming along. They're very clear on what we're doing. And we've got somebody obviously making teas and coffees, and that's fantastic because they do a brilliant job, and bringing cakes or biscuits and things like that to the sessions. And we have people that do different roles to do the administration and things like that. And obviously we need to be thinking about who's going to be the main point of contact and those type of things as well. So we spent a lot of time establishing the roles and responsibilities, what that would look like, and people sort of organically fell into those roles because whatever, you know, we looked at what people could bring to this group, and what they felt comfortable doing within the group, in the team. We spent time looking at theories and models. We did some training with St Peter's Hospice. We also did lots of research, and we established the best way of. There was 3 models that we have actually adopted to share with everyone that comes along for support, and everyone's confident in talking about those models of bereavement and grief. And we also we produced a welcome pack with information about these 3 models of bereavement, and they're very valuable within our pack that we give to everyone that comes along for support. We also did lots of work on a group agreement plan. Some people call it a constitution. We call it our terms of reference, and it's a code of conduct in our standards, which we all agree, we all put together. We spoke about so many things, looking at contingency plans and things like that. But most importantly, that there's no hierarchy within our group. We all equally value that we can all bring different things to our group, and that, but we had to agree on what we needed to put into place to create good standards, because otherwise how can you evaluate what you're doing if you've got no sort of set standards to know that you're doing what you intended to do. So that was work in progress for a long time, and we still go back now and again and we tweak our terms of reference. So we have our core standards included in that. and our work ethics, training for and support for the team and within the team. So my background is obviously in adult education and training and community development, and I've done so many courses that I was and different things that I could bring to the group. So myself, I did the training within the team. So looking at things like communication skills and how we sort of going to be interacting and responding, reacting to different situations within our group. And with safeguarding obviously was a big one as well. So we came up with lots of things. When we got to know each other within our group, we were then able to know where people felt not so confident and therefore what training we would need. And if with any STAR group or any community group, if you've made those external contacts in the wider community, you will inevitably be able to contact organisations to come and do some free training for you if they really value what you're trying to achieve. It doesn't cost anything. You just need to make the right connections to get people to come in and do specific training for your group. So here's an example of an activity which is really useful when you're bringing anybody together to establish a group. And it's about looking at the gifts, the assets that we all have as individuals. So looking at those skills through the experiences we've had, the training we may have had, the work we may have undertaken, volunteering, for instance, our interests and our passions. And this is something I did actually a couple of weeks ago, where I've got a group of people that are coming together to set up their own STAR bereavement peer support group in their community. They all come with different hats on because they're different jobs that they're currently doing. But we established within literally half an hour that these are some absolutely fantastic skills and experiences that most of us would not, we could be working with people or connected with people for a long, long time, and we wouldn't necessarily know all these things about each other. So sharing stories and doing an activity where we're able to talk about the things that we've explored in our lives can bring out some fantastic results here. So somebody, for instance, might come to set up a bereavement peer support group and say, I don't like talking in the group, but I'm happy to make teas and coffees. And that's absolutely fantastic. However, they may have, like some of these people here, somebody's got a web design experience, for instance, experience of working in social media. Somebody's got experience of working in the general public in the NHS, setting up activities in the community, organising different activities in the community, connecting with various people and networking, fundraising experience, counselling experience. Somebody's a trained yoga instructor. Somebody has got creative writing experience, for instance, and the list goes on. And before you know it, within half an hour, we're like, wow, look at this fantastic asset exists with this small group of people, and what we could be bringing to our STAR bereavement peer support group. If we know that this exists within our group, we can go off in many different ways and give added value to what we're trying to create. It takes one person to start explore, to share their experiences and their stories, and then before you know it, other people feel comfortable to do it. So in our STAR bereavement peer support group in Stockwood, we feel that it's really important, first of all, people tend to sort of make assumptions that it looks like a very well organised business or entity within the community. We want to be clear to show to people that we are not a constituted business or a charity. We're not a registered company or public service as such. We're not managed by a governing body. We are not a counselling service. We're not a service giving advice and guidance. We are not an organisation that charges anything. It does not have a selection criteria, and we do not have a waiting list. So we thought it was really important for people to know that first before we tell people what we actually are and what the benefits are. So the Stockwood Star project is a voluntary community group. It's its own entity, a service which enhances and gives added value to public health. It focuses on the asset-based community development approach. It's a secular community service, so everyone is welcome, regardless of any faith and beliefs or no faith and belief. An organisation where there is no hierarchy, so everyone that's part of our team and everyone that joins to come along for support, they're all equally valued. A safe place where people are welcomed, able to listen to others, talk, share stories, cry, laugh, receive care and support, and just be. It's free and offering 2 peer support sessions per month. So we currently run the first Tuesday of every month from 1 till 3, the third Wednesday of every month from 4 till 6. And we'd love to be able to offer more sessions as things progress. It's an inclusive environment, welcoming diversity and quality for all adults over the age of 18. It provides signposting, so we provide information of other organisations that are out in our community and the wider community about support that they can give. There's no selection criteria or waiting list. So people make initial contact with the literature that we send out, and we meet them on a one-to-one basis and give them everything they need. You can ask us lots of questions, and if they feel confident that they want to come along, they just join the next session. There's no time limit. People can come along as often as they want and as long as they want. And it doesn't cost any money to run it. It's just time and commitment for everyone involved and gifts in kind. So there's our leaflet, our trifold leaflet we send out into the wider community and beyond. So anybody that's interested, we are encouraging people to contact us, because although we're covering Bristol, North Somerset and South Gloucestershire, we've got a fantastic arrangement with Bristol Aging Better, Age UK Bristol, and the connections we've made to be cascading this model and through training to encourage more people to come forward and set something up in their community. So if you're interested, please get in contact with us. You can either through Claire from Age UK Bristol or myself. There's my contact details, and you'll have copies of this. And that's it, really. Open to any questions.
Amazing, thank you, Jan. We've had some questions come through in the chat and different comments and things, which is great. So that we can all see each other, as we're a fairly small group, and have a bit of a discussion if that's what people want. Do you mind, yes, just stopping your screen share, and then we can have a bit more of an informal chat. So I'll just go through the questions, I guess, but people feel free to ask more as we go along. So one of the first questions that came through when you were showing that asset-based community development screen was around, is there an electronic way of doing that asset-based mapping so that it can be easily updated as work evolves? Do you know of anything?
I don't know of anything, no. It is time consuming, yeah. I would say that I would personally, if you wanted to create a model like that and you weren't happy doing it on the computer, is to get a template, a blank one if you like, and to write on it. And then you can always, with our technology nowadays, you take a photograph of it then, can't you? You can upload it onto a computer. That would be the easiest way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it? Because as soon as you, with asset-based, with the asset mapping, as soon as you create something, things constantly change, new things pop up, things close, pause, move around. So it's sort of a constant thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Robin has asked, how have the groups fared during lockdown?
How have the groups?
How have the groups fared during lockdown?
Okay. Well, with the Stockwood, our Stockwood one, which I'm obviously still involved with the stock one in Stockwood. It was very difficult, and we had to go through like a month by month or week by week sometimes, by keeping in contact and being confident that we're complying with the government rules, if you like, about social distancing and all the PPE and all of those types of things. So when we were allowed in the beginning, it was coming up to the sort of springtime, and we've got a really good connection with the community garden project, which is next door to the venue that we were using. And so we were able to do lots of sessions outside in the garden. And it's got a covered area as well. And they were like, yes, please use the garden. We want to. This is just an absolute blessing to have this wonderful space. So let's use it. So that's what we did. We also we changed the venue because the church was closed. It wasn't allowed to open, obviously. So the children's centre said we could use the space because that wasn't being used either. So we alternated when we were allowed to sit outside, because weather permitting, we'd sat outside, and then when we could, we reduced the size of our group. So we changed the times that we were running. We reduced the amount of our team that we had a rota put in place, so only 2 members of the team. So we, looking at the size of the group that we're able to support, we reduced that size. So then we had a rota. So we had to make a few adjustments, but some people that felt confident to come along came along, and other people we maintained contact with them through the telephone, so that they knew we were still thinking of them, and that communication continued. Yeah.
And I think you being able to be so flexible with your venue just shows again the value of spending that time doing the asset mapping at the beginning, because
yes,
the original venue, okay, you can't meet there, but you already know what else is available, and including outside spaces in that as well. I imagine they can be fairly easily forgotten, but
yes,
especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
We have a question specific to Nextdoor. So Nikki said that she's on Nextdoor, but lives in another area to where she works. Do you know whether it's possible to use the app if you don't live in the area where you're looking, I guess, to message people?
I think somebody asked this question the other day, actually, in the training. They were saying, if you don't live in the area, how do you know how to make contact with and everything? But you need to make that initial contact with somebody. Eventually, the more talking and connecting you go out into the community, more people you talk to, you will start gradually get what your community looks like. And so we actually were thinking of things like the local councillors, for instance, in your local authority, presumably you will have community development practitioners. Try and find out who the one that you can contact that covers your area. They should already have started, or they should already have some sort of mapping in place of different associations and different organisations that are out there trying to support people in the community. Age UK Bristol. I mean, I go to Age UK Bristol saying, okay, we need to, who can I be connecting with? People are really welcome to support you if they can, if they've already got information about different networks and things that are going on in their community. So it's there. Yeah, the more people you talk to, eventually you'll start being able to add to that profile, that circular image, if you like, of all those people that are out there that can support you.
Sorry, Jenny actually messaged me back sort of privately, and she uses the neighbourhood app. So I'm going to give that a try as well.
Good to know.
Sorry, where was that?
The neighbourhood app. So I'm going to have a look about that. So yeah.
Good to know.
Lovely.
Good to try.
I mean,
things, isn't it?
Well Aware in Bristol, we've got the Well Aware database, so we can put postcodes in there or specific subjects that you're looking for, and that will bring up, if people are registered on Well Aware, it's a database that you can find all of those organisations that are out there on there. But yeah, it literally is a long job to do, but the more people you connect with, the more people can be doing that as well with you, and you can pull that information together.
Anna's asked about whether the STAR network addresses the issue of living grief and bereavement, particularly where families are caring for a person with dementia, and has put a really useful free training resource in the chat, which I personally didn't know about, so I will definitely save that and share it. But I don't know, Jan, whether you wanted to sort of explain a bit about, it is a bereavement peer support group, but it's also not just about just bereavement, it's sort of other losses as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And that's something that we put in our literature, that it says that it's about bereavement through loss of a loved one, but it's also about any difficult challenges, things we go through in our lives, transition periods of our so part of the training that I do is looking at all of those things where we experience loss in our lives, loss in relationships, loss in our identity, loss in all sorts of things, and the effect it has on us, and that we're there. None of us are experts, if you like. We're there because we have experienced so many different things, but we have understanding, and we're there to listen. And the value of that is enormous. The feedback we get from people that come along to talk about different things where they've experienced loss. And so some people, there are people in Bristol that have done the STAR bereavement peer support training, and they are working with groups of people with dementia or carers of people with dementia, and how much they are grieving. They still have their loved one, but they are grieving from the loss through the dementia. And so that is very important, that this can be applied in any situation, but the pure, fact of sitting and listening to others is amazing. Yeah, the reward is amazing.
And thank you so much, Anna, for sharing that resource. And I guess if anyone else is aware of any other resources, feel free to share that in the chat too. The approach is all about kind of sharing what we know and what might be helpful for other people. So thank you for that. Sharda's, who's from the Birmingham Aging Better programme, has just said that she's really interested in doing this in Birmingham. And are we doing training on the kind of peer support and other bereavement trainings in Birmingham? Like, as Jan said, please get in contact because we are funded, our clinical commissioning group, our CCG here, has funded the training for Bristol, North Somerset and South Gloucestershire. So that's what we're focusing on, but it's so relevant for other parts of the country, and we're so passionate about this model. So we at the moment are kind of evaluating what we're currently doing, collecting case stories, finding out the impact that it has on people. But we're so keen to share it really across the country and in other countries as well. So if anyone might be interested in this, any of your own sort of councils or community development groups or clinical commissioning groups, mental health, anything like that, just get in touch with us really, and we can see what's possible. Did you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so no, I was going to say that, so everyone that does the training, it's free to them, but somebody needs to obviously enable that to happen in that local authority. So as Claire was saying, we're limited on what we can give within our Bristol, North Somerset and South Gloss area. But people saying that would love to share in other local authorities. And if somebody wants to sort of have the same setup in their local authority, that's what we'd like to negotiate with people and make it happen. But Claire was saying we were excited because we've had people from Wales, and we've had somebody from Spain, and we had somebody from America, and different parts of the UK as well, saying, I'd really love to hear about what you've been doing and love to sort of be involved in this. I said, we would love to talk with you about it and everything else, but the actual reality is we can't offer this free to that locality that we're working at the moment. But we sharing information is fantastic, because we all is so valuable, isn't it, to hear about our experiences that we're going through in our communities. And it is a hard slog. We're all trying to do our best. So if we can network, then that's wonderful to be able to do that.
Exactly. And I know in terms of training for other related areas, like Jan was saying, if there's a specific thing that you want training on, often if you have done the asset mapping, you might be able to negotiate getting that from somebody for free. And I know a fair few hospices can provide different resources and trainings, either in person or online or recorded, around general issues around bereavement and loss and associated things like that, which is just really worth sort of doing research about that. There might be something that's useful for what you're looking for. Judith has asked, what's the average size of the group?
We've got 6 core members of our team now that run the group. We've supported over the past couple of years, we've supported 15 that come for support. The largest size we have at any one time, the group is, I think there's 10 of us, we go in the group, and most people, because of the pandemic, most people now choose to come on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. In the beginning, when we had less people to support, they were able to come Tuesday and a Wednesday if they wanted to. But we're in a position where we can be very, very flexible. So as things grow, we want to make sure we never have about more than 10 people in the group, 10 to 12 people in a group, because it loses that sort of comfortable sort of side of things. People feel it's quite it's very friendly, and we get to know each other very well, and so it can be sort of ruined a little bit if we have the group gets bigger and bigger. So we would then look at trying to run more sessions so people can we don't turn anybody away. We'll always adapt accordingly if we can.
Thank you. And just to add to that, because we've recently been finding out sort of what impact it's had on group members, and sort of talking to people about that, I definitely know that some have said that what they really value is, because it is a slightly smaller group, having that time to share without feeling pressured, which sometimes when groups are bigger, they don't have, and that's why they value this. So it's just about complementing what else is out there. Other people would much prefer a bigger group, I'm sure. It's what's right for people, isn't it?
Yeah, and we do. We're always asking people, and as part of our core value and work ethics, we say to people, if you're unhappy, please don't leave without not telling one of us. And we always make a point of making people feel comfortable that they're able to say how they're feeling before they leave. And we also welcome people to bring ideas to the group. So people make suggestions sometimes, wouldn't it be nice if we did this or that? And then we sort of put it out, and we sort of, we welcome that, because it makes people feel that they're valued in what they can bring to the group. They're coming for support, but actually they bring so much with them, which is wonderful.
So Robin's asked a question about how do you retain volunteers and prevent dropout? So Robin coordinates a one-to-one peer support service for people living with type 2 diabetes, and are looking to set up a peer support group in Bristol. So how do you have any advice on sort of retaining people and preventing volunteers dropping out?
Well, I think it's about being transparent. Everyone needs to know that when you're setting something up, it does involve an awful lot of time. When you've built the foundations, we feel like we're not actually doing anything, and often quite a few in our team say we're actually not doing anything. We're coming along. The feedback we get is fantastic. So the fact that we're providing this wonderful space, people feel safe, we're there to listen. That's our reward, knowing what the feedback we get, the difference we're making. But from in the very beginning, people need to know. When I say there was 13 people that have expressed an interest in setting up the Stockwood Star. Eventually, we ended up with 8 people because, and that's not a negative. I see that as a positive, because then we know that these people have got the time, because it did involve a lot of time, and so we're not making it look nice and fluffy and disguising anything. We're being very transparent of time, put it in, builds that foundation, and the reward is that we then sometimes thinking we're not doing very much, but actually it's because we've done it all. We've looked at all sorts of contingency plans we sort of put into place just in case. It took a lot of time. I think it was about 7 or 8 months to get everything in place. We're always tweaking things. We're on a learning curve, but we've got those committed people. Now, if anybody they do drop off, it would be through personal commitments that that we all go through, and so we're always trying to be mindful that we want to try and get more and more people interested to support us on the outside as well, and when people feel confident, they might come along to support. For instance, say, I don't want to come along and be part of your sessions, but I wouldn't mind helping just to do some promotion for you and deliver leaflets out in the community or talk to people for you. And eventually, when they feel more comfortable, they might sit in the session or come along and make tea. And eventually, they might take on a facilitation role. That wasn't their initial intention, but building the confidence and knowing how we're working, eventually they can evolve, their role can evolve into taking on different responsibilities. So yeah, that's the key thing through this, is the thread through this is about making everyone feel valued within your group, that they're part of it, they take ownership of it. And when they know how it works, so they're all singing from the same sheet, they're more likely to stick with it, and they know the ins and outs of it, if you like. We don't get anybody dropping off from our team for the past 2 years. We still got that same core team. Yeah. We've got a couple of people actually that I'm waiting to see next week that's expressed an interest in joining our group. So I'm just saying, we'll talk, we'll have a chat with them, and then we'll invite them along to a session just to sit and observe, see how they feel, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, see if it's for them.
Yeah.
And so the workshop officially ends at sort of 12:45. So if people need to leave and need to go on to other things, other appointments, feel free. It's been so nice for you all to come along. But sorry, I've got some background noise. I live on quite a busy road. But Jan and I are in no sort of rush to leave, and we've got one unanswered question in the chat.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So if people want to stay on a bit longer, ask any questions, have any discussions about anything, then you're welcome. We're happy to stay around until you want us to, but not offended either if you have other things to get to and want to leave. So just the last question, Jan, that was in the chat was around, have you done any training for people whose sort of English is not their first language? So Shah just asked, for example, from the Asian community in their mother language.
No, but I would welcome that. If anybody, we can make connections with people that would like to do that, and I have an interpreter or somebody alongside me to support me, I would love to do that. So we're open to any suggestions, because we want to reach everyone in our community. Yeah, that'd be great.
And possibly worth mentioning here that in the training that we're doing to set up other star groups, These style groups can be, in any sort of language if there's a need for that. So for example, we had someone here from the Chinese women's group who was interested, wasn't she, in setting one up for members of the Chinese community that would be done in that language, because the idea being that if people can express themselves better in that language, then that's great. It's great to have that option for them if that's what they want. And it can be tailored, can't it? Definitely.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Just looking through the chat, we've got, Anna said it'd be good to share the end of life care clinical network as an example of good practice. I don't know about that network, but I'm definitely going to look it up. Amazing. Yeah, go for it, Anna. We're a small group.
No, it's okay. No, it's just that a lot of the end-of-life care and palliative care networks are now recognizing that grief and bereavement doesn't just occur at end of life. So if you, I can send you, if you email me, I can send you the coordinator for the end-of-life care and palliative care network nationally. And I can also send you the contact for what we call the chain network, which is a network that goes out to a lot of public sector organisations, particularly NHS and social care, across the country. And they're always looking for examples of good practice. So I've just tweeted about it in terms of, and linked it with my former colleague who runs the Living Grief and Bereavement work with Tide Charity, so that hopefully Amanda will pick it up. And again, it will be a really useful model for the Tide Charity to look at, because I'm sure there are lots and lots of organisations that would benefit from having that kind of peer support, bereavement and loss kind of support in the local communities. So it's just a couple of ideas, that's all. But
Lovely.
thank you so much, Jan, for a fantastic session. Really loved it, and well done. Amazing. I've learned so much from you.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
And thank you for all of your suggestions, Anna. I'll get in touch right on, and share our details, share Jan's details as well. And let's see what we can do in terms of sharing it more broadly. That'll be amazing. What else? Oh yes, Nikki's put, Nikki works for St Nicholas Hospice in Suffolk, who do lots of free courses to do with loss and bereavement. Actually, Nikki, I looked up on that website the other day because I know we met at a different event, and I gave that information to someone here in Bristol who was going to look it up as well.
We're currently working with two other hospices within Suffolk at the moment for Dying Matters Week. Obviously, a little bit late to the party, but I've been on lots of courses this week to do with it and learned loads. It's really good to get on. They do it every year, if you go on to the website, you can actually see what courses are available. So it's really helpful, and they're all free.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's good to share, isn't it?
Writing that down as well. Does anyone else have any questions or comments that they would like to make?
I would really like to, Jan, I'd really like to ask you, because obviously I work for the hospital. I've only been doing it for 2 months, so I am a community connector. So I'm sort of working at the moment, getting through, sort of seeing what's out there, asset mapping and connecting with people already. But if I was to set up a group, what I would really like to know from you is, how do you sort of start your conversations, like, and what do you involve in your conversations? Do you sort of talk about, do you get people in to talk about wills or things like that? Or is it just about the bereavement itself?
Do you mean when I'm trying to get people to help set the group up, when I'm trying to get a team?
It's actually once you've got your team in place, and you're sitting with the people that have come in to see you.
Yeah.
Do you how do you start your conversations? What's a good way that you obviously you've been doing it for a while, so it'd be really good to learn from you what kind of are starting conversations to get everybody involved.
Yes. What we do every time, we have like a flip chart with the sort of aims and objectives in, and we don't read it all of it in full, but we have the reason why we're here. If this is just a reminder, the reason why we're here today, and we talk about what we say in our literature, that we're here to offer you a safe space to feel that you're able to express yourself, share any experiences or feelings that you may have about the loss of your loved one. And we're here to listen because we understand. We're not here to give you any advice or guidance.
Right.
Is a non-judgmental. Whatever you say is, we talk about confidentiality and making people feel safe. And when they know all of that, we then say, okay, what we're going to do now is sort of like a round robin, but we don't go around in a circle. So it sort of stresses people out. We say, if you want to talk, then feel free to talk. And what we used to have before the pandemic, we had this lovely cushion, and it was a lovely velvet cushion with a star on it, with those sequins on. And we didn't realize how valuable this cushion was. But when you've got it on your lap, it's like a comfort. And people, they start playing with this cushion and they talk. And when they've got the cushion, that's their time to talk. How you're feeling? How you feeling about being here? How you feeling about at the moment? Anything you'd like to share. And then once they've done that, they put the cushion down or they pass it on, and somebody else will talk, and it's their time. So that's their own time and space to talk. And if you don't want to talk, absolutely fine. And most people, when they first join, they're happy just to listen to other people talk, and eventually they'll do it in their own time. And we also make it really clear that I'm not there as the person leading. Nobody knows. We just got my name on there, and we all share our experiences and things like that. And we never ever, well, very rarely, we would use any resources on the table, because before you know it, the 2 hours is gone. It just leads on to different things. So it's never a theme that we have for the session or whatever. It's as what people bring that they want to talk about, and we just listen to each other. We often we've got on the table, I say, we've got some resources as well about different questions, and we made these resources from a course that I found on the internet for free, the Bereavement Journey it's called, and it's a 6-week course, and it's again talking about all different things to do with grief and bereavement, and there's a manual that came along with it, and I downloaded it and I cut and pasted some of the questions in it. We made these cards, we put them in a tin, we get them out sometimes. What do you think about this then? How do people deal with this situation? Different statements and things like that, and that it generates discussion as well. Sometimes we use that because sometimes we go off on a tangent, and we might want to bring people back and support people in to think about how they can be sharing experiences and things with each other. So yeah. So,
we do something very similar like that at the hospice, but it's geared towards sort of children, really, to be honest. But I went on the course; it's really good, and they use the same thing. It's like just open it. It's called Life's Questions, and it's like just little, she just asks you, a question from this thing, and it just opens up loads of discussion. But it's really good, really good.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about questioning as well, because we talked in our training that we did before we opened the doors to the community, was about the way that we question things, about open-ended questions and closed questions and paraphrasing and all those sorts of things. How the people that are coming along for support don't know that we're thinking of those things, if you like, but we're quite mindful of how we can sort of encourage people to talk about things or reassure people and all those sorts of things. And it just flows very well. It just flows. So we have the beginning, and then we have a break with the teas and coffees, and people carry on talking throughout that. And then at the very, very end, we sort of are mindful of the time where we say people, we're coming to an end, we've got 20 minutes left, and then we start doing the thing again. If you want to talk, you can talk. What do you get from this session? Is anything that really sort of resonated with you, what that's been spoken about today, how you're feeling, what you're going to take away from this session. Have you got any anxieties, things that are coming up you'd like to share? And that's how we end the session. So we've got a sort of structure, and it works really well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think my job's gonna be slightly different, because obviously I'll be going in, obviously opening up sort of death literacy questions where we're building up trust, but be able to talk about whether they are prepared, for, again, so I will be supporting people that have, that have experienced loss, but also I'll be sort of asking those sort of difficult questions before, someone goes as well. Are they prepared? Have they made, funeral arrangements? Have they, so it will be slightly different. My job will be, but I've taken a lot away from this, actually. It's a really good way to maybe open up and start a group and use the people that are in the community already.
Yeah, and you'll get people in the group. I mean, some of the people in our team, they lost their loved one 17 years ago, and some was 4 years ago, and some were, and they've all got different stories to share of how they've dealt with different things. And then people that join the group, I think you never know that are coming along for support. You never know until you've made that initial one-to-one meeting with them to find out their situation. If you feel that it's, they need to be reassured that they're coming to this group and they know what support is available. But sometimes it might be that it might be too soon for them to come to the group, and other people, we've had one person come along and it was within a month after she lost her husband. So there it's just great to hear people share their stories, because they all sort of know they're on this journey. There's people in front of them that have gone through different experiences that they can help support, and there's people behind them that they're we're all learning from each other, aren't we, when we're doing this type of thing, really. So that's the beauty of the peer support. We're not saying we're professionals in anything we're doing. We're sharing our experiences and offering that support by listening.
Brilliant.
Anything else people would like to ask or comment on?
Sorry, it's me again. I just want to ask one more thing. I'm so sorry. It's just that I'm just thinking of someone that I'm working with at the moment out in the community, and she's sort of about my age, so she's around 50 mark, and the problem she's having at the moment is that a lot of the people that a lot of the groups that she's going to are people a lot older than herself, and she wants to find groups within her own age group, and I think that's a little bit more difficult. Do you have a varied age group?
They're mostly older people. The youngest is in her 40s, mid 40s. One of our team members is in her late 20s. So yeah, I think this is the sort of thing where once people start coming along, if they feel that they would feel more comfortable in a group with different ages, or for another thing is we've got one man that comes to our group, and he was quite reluctant. It's like, oh no, I don't know I'm going to fit in with this. I'm not very good at expressing myself and this, that, and the other. And actually, he came along. He actually loves being part of the group. He feels very supported, and he's able to express himself and things. But we've sort of talked about maybe starting a men's group, a men's only group, or you might want to do a group for people with a particular age, because they feel that they were able to feel more comfortable. So if you're encouraging people to come along and talk about those things anyway, eventually, hopefully, it will, people, you have spin-offs from this particular group where when they feel confident, that younger person might say, actually, I'd like to run this alongside your group or something. So there's, and because we're not volunteering for an organization, you can make those changes. You can be very flexible in the way that you manage this. But again, you would then put it into your terms of reference. Any decisions you make within the group, the team, we'll put it into the terms of reference. If we've agreed, actually, if this happens, we can go off and do this and that and the other, and everyone's in agreement, and if it naturally just progresses in many ways then.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jan.
Okay.
I wonder as well, just to add to that, is about if when it is set up, getting a variety of people to promote it, really, and because everyone has their own networks, people will make assumptions about it. So like at Age UK Bristol, we share it as far and wide as we can, but naturally when it comes from us, people assume it's a group just for older people, and even if we say it's not, it's for all ages, that's what they assume. So also trying to get like younger persons organisations and like mixed age groups to share it, just to reach different people at different stages.
Yeah.
I had another point, Nikki, and I completely forgot now what it is that I was going to add. Yeah, sorry, don't know. Go for it, Anna.
Sorry, just as you were talking about age-related groups, I just wondered whether or not you've reached out to the schools in your local patch or the education department at the local authority. And the reason I say that is one of the things that we found when we were working around the dementia agenda specifically were the number of young people who were experiencing grief and loss, and there's absolutely nowhere for them to go.
Yeah, we haven't, because I think when you're initially setting it up, is that softly approach. Is if we tell too many, we could be inundated with people wanting to come forward, and then how do we manage it?
Yeah.
So I think as we sort of get more and more established, we then can be thinking of those avenues, because I mean, making those contacts with people that are out in the community, or connecting with families and things like that, we want to spread the word as far and wide as possible, but we need to be obviously mindful that we need to be able to manage this. But that's definitely something that we can do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much.
Your all of your resources in the chat. I'm going to look them all up. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye bye then.
Bye.
Bye.